Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm a clinical sexologist. I'm based in Singapore, and my company is called Eros Coaching. That's eroscoaching.com. And this is going to be an episode where we are focusing on sacred sexuality and conscious loving for singles and couples. And today I have a little bit of a slight flu, so I probably sound a little bit different and maybe a little bit off. However, I have two guests that I'm very, very excited to welcome, and they are very prestigious. They are certified, they are advanced certified tantra educators through the Source School of Tantra and Charles Muir, and they are Don Beck and Gerard Gatz. So we'll be talking about how to bring the sacred of loving into either the relationship that you already have and or have how to invite a beloved in. We'll be covering topics on how tantra practices of breath, sound, touch, chakra awakening, letting go of past trauma, and opening to more trust and love can increase passion, sensation, orgasm, intimacy, and love. In Tantra, there are modalities of communication that includes touch, full body orgasms for men and women, ejaculatory choice and control for men, and also sacred sexual healing and awakening from the sacred spot massage. What this means is internal G-spot massage for women or internal anal massage for men. So bringing this education into your consciousness can bring more pleasure, intimacy, health, vitality, healing, awakening, and love. And of course, much, much more. This couple have individually and together provided tantric exploration for couples and individuals in the form of evening, full day, and full weekend workshops, as well as private coaching and extended immersion experiences. As a loving, committed couple of over 17 years, they incorporate their work and play of conscious and sacred sexuality into their relationship. This has deepened and strengthened their love, giving them an amazing bond of sweetness and depth to share with their clients. Residing primarily in Boulder, Colorado, while also traveling around the country, Dawn and Gerard are honored to offer the essence of their love of each other and this work, always creating a safe and sacred space for healing, awakening, learning, and growth. You can go to their website and have a look at the sessions and workshops that they offer, and it's tantricsacredjourneys.com. One word, tantricsacredjourneys.com. Welcome to the show, Dawn and Gerard.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha. We're so glad and honored to be here with you.
And we're going to send you lots of healing blessings so that you start to feel better and better throughout this next hour.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I already feel better. I love your voice. It really feels like nectar, honey. You know, it's very sweet, and it's lovely to have both of you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So I just went into a whole bunch of explanation about what this show is going to be about and what Tantra is. But in a nutshell, could you explain for people who are totally new to this Tantra, they hear it, thrown left, right, center, what exactly Tantra means?
So Tantra is basically a 4,000-year-old energy system that connects our sexuality with the rest of our bodies. One of the and our minds and our hearts and our spirits. One of the definitions of Tantra is expansion through awareness. So when we become more aware of how we feel energy so that we can both transmit and receive energy, we start to open and awaken our bodies, inclusive of our sexual centers, to feeling more connected to our heart's desires, feeling more connected to our groundedness and our worthiness, feeling more connected to our power and our life purpose, feeling more connected to how we communicate, how we ask for what we need and desire in our lives, feeling more connected to our intuition, and feeling more connected to spirit in whatever way that resonates for us, whether it's God, goddess energy, or heavenly energy, or the divine. So Tantra is a way to weave all of these energies together so that we can feel ourselves as the grounded, powerful, worthy, heart-centered, communicative, intuitive, spiritual beings that we are, and we can invite into our lives the people or person that we want to connect with in very deep, loving, magical, blissful ways.
Thank you. I love your explanation. I love how you just made everything so simple. Expansion through awareness.
Yeah, and it is simple. You know, we hear about Tantra. I remember before I knew anything about Tantra, you know, the word kind of came in and out of my scope, and you know, some of the things that I heard were not really true, or not, you know, I heard things like orgies. I heard things like, you know, having sex all night long. I heard things like, you know, leaving our body and traveling throughout the universe. I heard things like, you know, multiple partners, and we're not anti any of that. And sometimes tantric experiences can include one or more of those pieces, but the essence of Tantra is about coming within and sharing the true essence of who we are from places of confidence, from places of heart-centeredness, and from places of groundedness, and weaving all these pieces together. So the simplicity is a blend of how Gerard and I have learned and practiced and teach Tantra, is a blend of some of the ancient languaging, the Sanskrit, the ancient mudras and mantras of Tantra, blended with what's called neoclassical Tantra. So it really allows it to be more accessible for people in this day and age, people who are busy in their lives, people that do not have 4 hours to step into a tantric experience. Some people do, but most people in today's age are busy with kids and jobs and work and you know, lots of stuff going on in our lives. And so the practices that we teach and we offer and we encourage people to do can be simply experienced in a 10-minute or a 15-minute or a half hour or an hour or a 2-hour experience, but it doesn't have to. It can be a life practice where you can dip in and you can dip out, and you can experience these practices that are simple and easy to understand and accessible to each and every one of us.
Thank you. So neoclassical Tantra means modified Tantra to modern times. Is that right?
Yes, as Dawn was saying, this is Gerard speaking, as Dawn was saying, there are very simple practices that we teach in our workshops that are based in ways to communicate. So it's about communication and energy, and it has to do with all of our energy chakras or centers in our body. There's 7 main chakras. People have probably heard that word. Rather than going through all of them and the explanation of them. Mm-hmm. A lot of spiritual systems start with the heart center and you go up from there. And your lower chakras or energy centers, your power center, your sexual center, which is your creative center, that's where life is created from, and your root chakra, which is your anus, are thought to be lower chakras, when actually all these energy centers are equally divine, beautiful, powerful, and they need to be integrated and connected. And if there's blocks in between these energy centers, like say there's a block between your sexual center and your heart, which is common for a lot of people, that people can have sex, people can feel love from their heart, but to make love while you're having sex, that connection is somehow lost. So we find where the blocks are. We assist people to feel their energy, to feel where it may be stuck, and to do simple practices of breath, of sound, of touch, we have couples that do practices, come to our workshop, do practices of putting their hands on each other's hearts, saying words of appreciation, engaging into each other's eyes for 2 to 3 minutes. And they say, we haven't done this in years. And they just have tears of joy, which melts our hearts and melts their hearts.
So more about sacred sexuality and conscious loving after this break. Thank you.
Conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment, a philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. We're talking about sacred sexuality and conscious loving with Beck and Gerard Gatz. They are advanced certified tantra educators through the Source School of Tantra, and you can find them on tantricsacredjourneys.com. we've been talking about what Tantra is about, and Dawn clarified some of the myths around Tantra. Then Gerard was talking about the chakra and how through learning and feeling into the blocks that we have within our body and getting them unstuck, we will be able to have access to a lot more pleasure in our lives. So I'm just curious here, can you give specific examples of how through Tantra and sacred sexuality we can add intimacy to a relationship?
Yeah, so, for many of us, we've had some heartache in our life. Mm-hmm. We have, for the lucky ones of us, we've had some relationships that, have been really wonderful, and we've had some relationships that have left our hearts a little bit owied, a little bit wounded, a little bit left with some loss or grief or abandonment. For the unlucky ones of us, there has been some sexual, emotional, or physical abuse. And what we have learned and what we have experienced and found is that a lot of that woundedness, a lot of those owies have reside in our bodies. Often they reside in our sexual centers or our root chakras. Or the combination of those two. And so when we do some of these more advanced practices, and they're called sacred sexual healing and awakening, to really invite either a woman or a man to start to let go of some of these wounded places, some of the places that have created our hearts to shut down and or our sexual centers to shut down, we can invite more intimacy into our lives. Mm-hmm. So inside of a woman's, and the word is yoni for a woman's sexual center. Yoni is a Sanskrit word that means sacred space. Mm-hmm. Inside of a woman's yoni is what's called our sacred spot, which is our G-spot. And when there's been some wounding for a woman, there's been some sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, or that place has not been honored. Women have said yes when we've wanted to say no, or we've said nothing when we've wanted to say no. That stuff gets stuck in our cells, and those cells are directly connected to our sacred spots, our G-spots. And so for a woman, inviting conscious loving touch, being asked permission to enter this part of a woman's body, and as a woman to be able to really claim our no, or really express our yes, and to breathe energy and conscious loving touch into this part of our body allows us to reflower. We've all been deflowered as women, and for some of us the experiences have been wonderful, and for some of us the experiences has not been so wonderful. And so to reflower this place in our bodies with conscious loving touch and awareness and presence, and to be asked permission, may I contact your beautiful yoni? May I be invited into your beautiful sacred temple? May I contact your beautiful sacred spot? And for a woman to breathe energy in either from her beloved or from another woman in a workshop where we are gathered as women in a women's temple, to be able to be consciously touched, not so much in a sexual way, but in a healing, awakening way by another woman, by a sister, or to be given tantric, conscious loving touch from a daka, who is a male sexual healer and awakener, or a takini, who is a female sexual conscious awakener, who Gerard and I are Dakas and Dakinis, for a woman to breathe this energy in consciously, giving permission and really having an intention to release any stuck or blocked energy or wounds or beliefs or trauma, and to combine that with breath and sound. Breath and sound are imperative to moving energy. And the sound of ah, a relaxed, open-throated sound of ah, is a beautiful way to release blocked energy and to open this place in our bodies as women to let go of what doesn't serve us and open to what we want to manifest in our lives. We have seen and experienced, and I myself as a woman have experienced so much release of things, beliefs, judgments, experiences, memories from this lifetime and beyond that doesn't serve me anymore, that I want to let go of and shed so that we can start to awaken this part of our bodies to feeling more love, to feeling more connection with our heart centers, and to invite in more pleasure and more orgasms. For many women who don't experience their orgasms, it's not because they can't, it's because she hasn't been awakened. She hasn't been honored. She hasn't been given permission to speak her no and to invite her yes, so that we are inviting and reflowering our yonis into feeling more beauty and feeling more passionate and feeling more intimately connected with our own hearts. We can only open to intimacy with another when we can open to intimacy with ourselves. So it starts with us. It starts with that intimate communion, that intimate yoga, that intimate tantra with ourselves, so that we can then open to another. So opening to intimacy starts with ourselves, with letting go and shedding what doesn't serve us anymore, and by opening to what we want to manifest and create and invite into more intimacy with another, whether it's a beloved or a friend or a tantra buddy or a sister. How do we open to more intimacy so that we can really connect to what we're inviting in, so that we have choice? This is about choice, giving ourselves more choice.
I love what you're sharing about reflowering, because you're right, not all of us have good first-time sex experience when we were deflowered, and conscious reflowering will allow us to have a new relationship with ourselves and with our sexuality, giving room for more pleasure to come into our lives.
That's right.
You've already started to share how with sound, with the sound just being able to let go, and then creating space for more good things to come into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about the yoni. I'm just curious, what about for men?
So for men, it's similar, but different. As Dawn was saying, the issues are in our tissues, in our body, just as when you receive a massage. And in Tantra, we encourage a lot of massage. But slowing down. Tantra is about slowing down and becoming more connected with yourself and with your partner. And a lot of men's hearts have also been wounded and are now shut down, and they need a place where they feel safe, where they can open up to love again. And it's said that a way to a woman's yoni, or her vagina, her yoni, is through her heart. And oftentimes a way to a man's heart is through his penis, or in Tantra, we call it your penis. The word is lingam, Lingam, which means a wand of light. So instead of having a penis, men, now you all have, you have a wand of light, because your energy goes beyond the end of your wand. And for a man's sacred spot, it's, once again, it's very slow, it's very gentle, it's very loving. There's a massage that leads up to inviting your partner's ladyfinger in through your anus, your sacred spot, which is about an inch inside of you. It's not up to your prostate. A lot of people get confused that they think like they've had a prostate exam and it's like that. It's not like that at all. It's a very beautiful, sensual, emotional place to be. Dawn has described it to me as it feeling like a rose petal inside there. And that's where men store a lot of emotional issues. Your base chakra in your anus is where there's issues that are and feelings of they have to do around survival. They have to do around financial matters. They have to do with worthiness. And they also are tied into shame and guilt. So, once again, with breath and sound and loving touch, gentle massage in the sacred spot area, and men making the same sound of ah. Ah is the sound of letting go. It takes no muscles. And it's also the sound of our heart center.
Oh. Okay. I like what you're sharing about the 1 inch into the anus. I always thought it's the prostate.
How would? Say that again, Martha?
I always thought it was the prostate.
Yeah, and some men enjoy prostate massage.
And it's good.
And it's good and it's healthy. And regardless of whether a man is receiving sacred spot massage and the giver is reaching all the way up to his prostate physically, energy can still be sent in for health and vitality to a man's prostate. So,
Sure.
there's a confusion of prostate massage and sacred spot massage. Man's sacred spot is just a little bit in,
Great.
and further up is a man's prostate. So we can keep visiting with that after this commercial.
Great. Thank you.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
And Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Vibe Nation Radio is brought to you by Carrie Turcott and Dean Thomas. Each week we bring a refreshing outlook to lifting the veils of illusion that occur in our daily lives. We will share our own learnings and personal experience that allow others to understand who they truly are.
At the end of each show, Carrie will be tapping into the listeners' energies just to give an idea of what to expect for the week ahead. So join us each Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and together we will discover the inner keys that will unlock the true you.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on Om Times Radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Eros Evolution on the Om Times Radio Network. You can share this show with your friends right now by sending them the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, your friends will be able to listen to the show without needing to download any app. And once again, it's omtimes.com/mobile. We are talking about sacred sexuality and conscious loving with Don Beck and Gerard Gatz. And their website is Tantric Sacred Journeys with an S.com. And you can go to their website. I'm on their website right now, and you can see what they are offering. They are not just offering private sessions, they also run workshops. And their next workshop is May 13 to the 15th in Boulder, Colorado, where they are based. And they also have testimonials, and right on the first page, you will be able to see a whole list of all the workshops that they have coming up this year. So definitely go to their website, and you will be able to sign up for their mailing list as well. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just learned a lot from you guys already. I learned about the definition, this new definition of tantra, expansion through awareness, and I just can't get over how I just learned about the sacred spot for men, which is 1 inch into the anus, and a lot of emotional release can be received or let go of when we use the R sound. That's beautiful for me, you know. It's these are little things that I'm learning. I also like the term reflowering. Where there is consent, there will be healing. So,
yes, and just to add to that, Marcia,
sure.
you know, giving a man sacred spot massage, the same holds true about asking permission. From men, they have not been asked permission to be touched, whether it's on their lingam or on their heart or anywhere, you know. And for couples to ask and give permission to and from each other can be profound, because very often couples will just assume that, you know, if one of the people in the couple wants to have sex, they'll just reach over and just, you know, assume that, well, of course my partner would want to be sexual with me. And so in this tantric practice, we encourage couples, if they're working together and playing together and exploring tantra together, to ask permission, and for a man to be asked permission, may I place my hands on your beautiful wand of light, your lingam, and your jewels, and just hold this part of your body precious and send love into this part of your body, can be profound for a man to check in with himself and to find his no, or his not yet, or his yes. And often tears will flow so beautifully when a man feels honored enough by his partner to be asked to touch this part of his body, or to ask permission of a man, may I enter your beautiful sacred spot, your beautiful sacred petal, your root chakra. For a man to say yes, to find his yes, and then to draw his beloved's finger inside of him to connect with this part of himself as a precious, worthy part that also deserves and is worthy of conscious touch and love, is really profound.
It's beautiful. Thank you. So tell me a little bit more, because we talked about the orgasmic potential and ejaculatory choice and control through tantric practices. Could you tell us more about this?
Yeah, let's start with ejaculatory choice and control for men.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So for us men, first of all, let's take away, when we connect, let's take away the goals. Because we're taught that when we have sex, when we have intercourse, that things happen. You get excited, you get turned on, you get erect, you try to have your partner have an orgasm before you ejaculate, and then you ejaculate, and then it's over. So let's just take that all away. take away all the goals, and go back to connecting and playing. So if you take away the goal, and there doesn't have to be any, it doesn't have to look any certain way, you can play with the energy that you're creating together. So for a man, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 you start getting aroused, 5 you're really turned on, and 10 is ejaculation. And actually, when you get near 10, you're probably at the point of ejaculatory inevitability. Like when you're at a 9, you don't try to stop your ejaculation. You breathe and you celebrate it and you bless it. However, let's go back. So when you get to a 3 to a 5 point of being aroused, a man works with and plays with what's called his PC or pubococcygeus muscle. It's the muscle that if you were urinating and you wanted to stop that flow of urine, it's that muscle you would squeeze and tighten for both a man and a woman to stop the flow of urine. Now, that muscle is very important. It's one of the first muscles that becomes weak in a person's body. And to have control over that muscle, with that muscle, helps you have control with ejaculatory choice. So when you start, a lot of men go from a 3 to a 5 to a 10. So what we encourage is when you get to a 3 to a 5, you breathe and you actually physically press in on that muscle or have your partner do it. You can pulse it to find it. You can pulse it to make it stronger. And there's other exercises that we teach to strengthen that muscle. And by doing that, by pressing in on that, you short circuit the energy a little bit and you breathe that energy up through your body. So men don't just have the energy in that second chakra and then release it from there. You breathe it up to your heart. So you can have a heartgasm.
Heartgasm.
A heartgasm. Yes, I have heartgasms all the time, and I love them. And then I'm still full. I don't feel, because every time you ejaculate, that's a lot of life force. That's a lot of chi that you're releasing from your body. And we're not anti-ejaculation at all. But
we're pro-choice.
We're pro-choice. We want a person to be able to, a man to be able to decide, to choose when he wants to ejaculate, not to have that choose him, so he doesn't have control over it. And the more control a man has with this by practicing breath, sound, and this PC muscle, and slowing down. We think we have to go faster. Yeah. We do not. We can stop. We can look into each other's eyes. We can breathe. We can share words of love and go back into making love. It can be a dance. We're doing this together as a team. And you can practice this as a solo practice too. You can love yourself. You can light candles, put on music, and pleasure yourself and play with these same principles and practices.
Yeah. And the more ejaculatory choice and control, and we're saying woman and man, and so this is in a heterosexual relationship, right? We're using this terminology for a heterosexual relationship. Sure. Now, same-sex couples, we've had same-sex couples. We've done workshops where we've had same-sex couples as participants. We've worked privately with same-sex couples. The basic principles and practices are the same, but we're using the words here of man and woman. So if there are any same-sex couples listening out there, please know that all these practices are just as valuable and just as transferable for your relationship as well. Back to when a man is really utilizing and mastering his ejaculatory choice and control, and he's making love with a woman. As a woman now, I can feel my pleasure. I can run my sexual energy without being afraid that if I move a certain way, if I have orgasmic pleasure, if I lean over, if I'm sexy, if I'm sensual, I'm going to send him right over the edge of ejaculatory orgasm. So when a man is taking control of his own ejaculation and he's mastering these skills to have more ejaculatory choice and control, it gives us as women so much more freedom to feel our sexual energy, to run our energy, to not have to control our Shakti, to not have to control and squelch our feminine energy. And so often, the women that I work with and that we work with will say, I feel like I could have more orgasmic pleasure if I wasn't worried that that it was going to send my partner right over the edge. I feel like I could actually, because, it takes us women, as we know, Martha, usually a little bit longer to feel our sexual pleasure. And so when we are with a man who has more mastery around his own ejaculatory choice and control, we can have more freedom and more time to run our sexual energy and to invite our orgasmic pleasure to come to us. What very many women do is we push our sexual pleasure away. We push our pleasure away by, we see that orgasm out there, and that elusive orgasm, that orgasm that feels like it's right there on the precipice. But when we get close to it, we tend to hold our breath, or we tend to shorten our breath, and that will often push our sexual orgasmic pleasure away, and it gets farther and farther away. So what we encourage women to do is when we start to feel that sexual pleasure, we want to slow down. We want to take nice, deep, full inhalations, breathing that energy up from our yonis all the way into our bellies and our hearts. And then on our exhalations, we want to drop our jaws and we want to let the sound of
Thank you.
The future of Internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she is feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at Om Times Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. Om Times Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution. We are with Beck and Gerard Gatz. And just before break, we were talking about orgasmic pleasure for women and how the R sound can really help her to slow down and move energy in her body. So, Dawn, would you like to continue to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. You know, women and men, we're different from each other. So where men usually, a lot of men can really benefit from learning more ejaculatory choice and control, how to move this energy through their bodies and not ejaculate. For women, a lot of women can benefit from learning how to invite more orgasmic pleasure into their bodies. So through the sound of ah, through relaxing and opening our yonis and imagining that our yonis are like the most beautiful flower of the day. Whatever your flower is, whether it's an orchid or a lily or a plumeria, whatever that flower is, and through bringing in breath, conscious breath and conscious sound, we can, as women, invite more orgasmic pleasure, and we can really run our energy. When we run our sexual energy as women, we tend to not be depleted. When men run their sexual energy and choose to not ejaculate each and every time they are in a sexual encounter or self-pleasuring or making love, they won't be depleted. But if they ejaculate each and every time, then depletion can happen. You know, we call it coming for men, but it's kind of like going. It's kind of like that's usually the end of a sexual encounter or a sexual experience. For women, it's quite the opposite. Our bodies really thrive on running our sexual energy. It invigorates us. It enlivens us when we run our sexual energy and we invite our orgasmic pleasure. So through breath, through sound, through the sound of ah, through having strong PC muscles, love muscles for a woman, we can invite more orgasmic pleasure. Through letting go of any stuck or blocked energy through internal sacred spot massage, we can invite more orgasmic pleasure. And the other thing that we can invite as women is the flow of our Amrita. The word Amrita is a Sanskrit word, and it means divine nectar. It is female ejaculation. It can come out of a woman's, it comes from our urethra. So it comes from where we urinate from rather than through our vaginal opening, but it's not urine. It's a clear fluid, and it can come out in a dribble. It can come out in a gush. It can come out in multiple gushes. It can be directly connected to a clitoral or a vaginal or a uterine or an anal orgasm for a woman, or it can be less vaginally centered and feel more like a wave of orgasmic pleasure that is full-bodied, that feels like divine goddess energy that just runs through and over and out our bodies. And it really is believed in Tantra to be a blessing. When a woman experiences her Amrita, her divine nectar, she is blessing herself and she is blessing whomever she's connected with. So inviting our Amrita is not a goal. And I want to remind women that you're not less of a woman if you don't experience your divine nectar, your Amrita. But it can be invited. And though it is not a goal to have Amrita, we want to let women know that it is a blessing, and that through breath, through sound, through letting go of blocked energy and stuck energy, it is every woman's birthright to invite and experience this beautiful divine nectar.
Thank you. I love it. Learned something new today. Okay.
I'm glad. We're all each other's teachers, right? We all get to learn and teach to and each other.
Yeah, you guys must come back. That I've learned so much from you guys, even just during this short time. And you've been together for 17 years, teaching and playing together, conscious and sacred sexuality. So what are some simple ways in which you advise couples to get started?
Well, one thing that we didn't really cover that's really a beautiful way is to separate giving and receiving, because we tend to try to give and receive at the same time. When we're touching each other. When we're kissing, we're going back, we're doing it at the same time. So not that there's anything wrong with that. That's beautiful. But if you can simply be a receiver and one person's a giver, so we separate that. So say a woman is the receiver. She doesn't have to give back, and her partner just will touch her body in very different modalities of touch. Yin touch, very more feminine, softer touch, yang touch, more masculine, deep touch, and she's simply receiving. And then you take turns, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of that, and then she gives to the man in a similar way, touching very yin, very yang, and he doesn't give back. And then you practice that kissing. This is really challenging for people because you're so used to just kissing, and it's beautiful. But what about if you simply relax your mouth and your jaw, and you don't start with someone's lips? You start kissing on their neck and their ears and their eyes, and then move to their lips and inside their lips and sucking and nibbling. So we're separating giving and receiving. So if you're always giving in a relationship, often one person's more of a giver and one's more of a receiver. So we can learn how to both become really beautiful givers and receivers. Because if you're constantly giving, you don't have anything to receive, because it's all you've just been giving it away. If you're constantly receiving, you don't have the practice of giving. So by separating the two and playing with that energy, you can weave the energies back together in a tantric way.
Yeah, so these simple practices, if you're in a couple where one of you is the receiver and one of you is the giver, either in touch or in kissing, and we suggest that you dedicate maybe 30 or 40 minutes to this practice, so that one of you is, if it's the touch practice, one of you is lying on your belly as the receiver, and the other person as the giver is touching the back of your whole body, your arms, your legs, your back, your shoulders, and then you roll over. And now you're receiving touch on the front of your body for 10 minutes. And then it's the other person's turn. They're receiving touch on the back of their body for 10 minutes and then on the front of their body for 10 minutes. So you can do these practices in 30 minutes or so, 30 or 40 minutes, where one of you is just the receiver and the other one of you is the giver, and then you switch. And so the giver becomes the receiver and the receiver becomes the giver. It's a beautiful way to practice, whether it's through touch or through kissing, as Gerard described, for you to really separate what is it like to just receive my partner's love, touch, or kisses, and not give back. And usually when one person is receiving, they'll try to give back. And so if that happens and you're giving, you just remind your sweetie, this is for you. This is for you to receive. And you can laugh together about it, and you can enjoy trying on what is it like to just give, or what is it like to just receive, so that you can both become better at, more masterful at, more at ease at just receiving or just giving.
Thank you so much for coming onto today's show. That's about the time that we have this week. And remember, we've been talking about sacred sexuality and conscious loving for singles and couples. And we've been with Dawn Beck and Gerard Gatz. And do check out their website, tantricsacredjourneys.com. They provide private sessions and also run workshops. And as you can tell from today's show, there's a lot of richness and depth in what they are sharing. It sounds simple, but the doing is really in the practice. And that's what it's all about.
Yes, and Martha, remember, and listeners, please remember that Tantra is a practice. It's a Tantra practice. It's not a Tantra perfect.
Thank you for that. So remember to check out their website. That, like I mentioned, there's a lot of richness in what they're sharing because I've had different guests come on this show. They're sharing so many things, such deep, profound practices that they're sharing. Strongly encourage you guys to practice what they just shared about being very conscious in your giving and receiving. Next week we have a different show, and periodically every 12 episodes or so, I do a summary of all my past guests and what I've learned from them. So that's a little bit of like a snapshot or a cheat sheet, if you will, of what I've learned from my guests relating to sexuality and spirituality. So next week I'll be summarizing all the past shows, including this one. So be sure to tune in to Eros Evolution next week. And also, if you are not following me on Facebook, you can actually find this show, Eros Evolution, on Facebook. And be sure to tune in to Eros Evolution next week as we bring in more and more different topics and guests relating to sexuality. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you once again to my guests, Dawn and Gerard.
You're so welcome, Martha. It was an honor. Thank you so much for providing this information and this education for people. And we so enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you, and namaste.
I've enjoyed this very, very much, and I'd love to have both of you back.
We'd love to come back.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's arrange. So goodbye, listeners, and have a good week.